In the name of Allah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, most merciful, most compassionate, peace be upon all of you. We welcome you, the best welcome, in the second episode of the Rituals program, it will be a consequence episodes organized by the Ministry of Religious Affairs and Endowments and the KSA, based on their planning for raising the awareness of the pilgrimage. Pilgrims, we will be with you in this episode until the start of the Hajj month to talk about everything is related about the performance of the rituals or the rites of pilgrimage, and we will respond to you and answer all your questions. In your name, in my name, we welcome the guest of our program, Dr. Khalid bin Abdullah al-Maslih, the professor in the university in Saudi Arabia. We welcome you the second episode to your eminency, Sheikh. We welcome you and we welcome everybody also, and thank you for your nice words. Thank you, Doctor. And hopefully in this episode, our Sheikh and our dear viewers, we will talk about the Hajj as one of the pillars of Islam, and then we will talk about the rituals of and the rites of and the pillars of the pilgrimage, and to take some ideas also from you from our side, and we will talk and we will take some quotes from the Holy Quran. In the last episode we talked about the pillars of Islam, and we talked also about the history of Islam, and we mentioned that Islam relies and depends and based on the testimony of that there is no God, only God, and Muhammad is a messenger. And then we will talk now about this one of the major and the great pillars about the legislativity of the pilgrimage. Peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad and all his companions and followers. The pilgrimage is one of the pillars of Islam, and there is no doubt about this, and it was shown in the Sunnah and in the Quran, and was approved by all the scientists with different sects. So that's why there is no disagreement about the obligation of the pilgrimage on the Muslims, and it was imposed by our God on the Muslims, just according if they can do it. And Hajj to the house of Allah, Kaaba, is a duty that mankind owes to Allah, those who can afford the expenses. And we can also take from this an evidence from our Prophet that our God imposed the pilgrimage on you, so please do perform pilgrimage. So also about to try to strengthen our pillars of Islam, Muhammad ibn Umar also, God be pleased with him. First of all, the pillars of Islam, the testimony and fasting, Ramadan, and the people who can afford the expenses to perform pilgrimage to do perform the pilgrimage. And Muhammad bin Umar also, God be pleased with him, the story of Jibril, when Jibril came to our Prophet, peace be upon him, say the testimony that there is no God, only God, and Muhammad is a messenger, and perform pilgrimage for the one if you can afford the expenses, and fast Ramadan. So he mentioned the Hajj and the pilgrimage to the house of Allah, and in this also Jibril said that he's over here to teach you our religion. So that's why we have different evidence about the obligatory of the pilgrimage, that it's one of the pillars of Islam. And in all what was mentioned about the obligatory of and the obligation of pilgrimage, but it was also linked to the afford of the people who can afford the expenses to perform pilgrimage. And Muhammad ibn Umar, God be pleased with him, why it was linked to the people capacities or capabilities, because there is no act is our God link this for the people to perform pilgrimage, for the people who can afford just only the expenses, not anyone. So it's not out from any pillars in their fasting and all that. It's according to your ability to do it. The ability means in obeying our God and fasting Ramadan, praying, perform pilgrimage. All this is based on the ability for this, because our God will not impose or oblige us to do something that we can't do. And this is also shows that like the ability of this is one of the condition needs to be taken into consideration, especially for the perform of the pilgrimage. So that's why in Hajj also, or in the pilgrimage pillar, it was mentioned in different places over this, because it will be also sometimes it will be entirely different than any other pillars. And that's why that there is also in the pilgrimage, it will be like a physical also perform must be done, and also someone will be leave his house because he's going to worship Allah to Mecca and to Kaaba. And there is also a financial cost, because the one who travel, he needs to have the expenses or the money or the financial resources can enable him to perform this. That's why all these meanings, all of it, that can show us about the great of this pillar that is very hard sometimes on the people. So that's why it's like fighting sometimes. What is quoted by Ibn Umar, God be pleased with him, and as our Prophet also said, quoted by Aisha, like the fighting, it will be, or jihad will be the best. He said, no, we are not going to jihad as females, but the best jihad or fighting for you to defend Islam is like a pilgrimage. This is one of the best things that you can get close to your God, to Allah, which is the best thing. That's why this act, it was linked to the affordability, because it will take some hard needs, like more efforts must be exerted in this regard. And to continue and follow up on your conversation, like the accepted pilgrimage have no reward but the paradise. If we have, how can we get to the accepted pilgrimage? And why did we choose, or why it was chosen for this accepted pilgrimage, the paradise, as one of the great rewards that we are talking about? If we are talking about the different specifications of the Hajj sometimes, or the attributes of Hajj, there is two things can distinguish Hajj. We talked about the first thing, which is it's related about the affordability of the people, and the next thing, it was imposed just only one time, once a life, so it mustn't be done or performed more than one. You can do it, but it's only asked from you to do it or perform it just one time. God imposed or obliged you to perform Hajj, to do perform Hajj or pilgrimage. Peace be upon him, said that our God forced the pilgrimage on you. He asked one of the people who were next to our Prophet, peace be upon him, every year we need to do it. Every year we are going to perform pilgrimage. Our Prophet, he didn't ask because this is something, if he wanted this, it will be also shown for the duty. It must be done. If I said yes, it will be an answer for your affordability for this. And Ibn Umar said, like doing or performing the duty of pilgrimage will be once a life, or one time in the life. But if you can do it more than this, it will be voluntary. Most of the people, sometimes they will misunderstand about the pilgrimage. It's not about physical. We are not talking about the physical ability for this, but it needs also financial. And you need to be like in a healthy situation to perform all these rituals and go back home. But the financial also capabilities, in this case, you need to have an extra source of financial that you can get and expense on the pilgrimage, away from all your needs in home, that you can spend everything in your home and save some money that can enable you to go to Mecca and come back to your country. Because coming back, it will be to continue and to complete this as you start. What we mean is to go for performing pilgrimage in Mecca and Kaaba and go back home. That's why our God imposed a pilgrimage in this spot, and you need to go back home after you finish. Our Prophet, peace be upon him, when he ended the pilgrimage, directly he went back to Medina. Because according to our God, also when he says in the Holy Quran, once you end your travel or the pilgrimage, go back quickly home to your family, to your home. So after you end your need or after you end your rituals, in the 13 days after he ended all the rituals of pilgrimage, our Prophet went back from Mecca to Al-Medina, and also with the best. And you know about the worship that we can do this to get more close to our God from circumambulation and others. What we mean over here, the affordability is the financial, also the physical, that can enable anyone to go to Mecca to perform all rituals and go back to home. The one who doesn't have the financial resources, he mustn't go. But the one who has a financial ability for this, or who can do it, or have other like financial resources extra, he saved already, but he can do it physical, can he pay money for anyone who can do or perform Hajj in behalf for this, in behalf of him? What is shown from the scientists also, if he's capable to do financial, but he can do it physically, he can pay for others to perform Hajj in his behalf. And it was mentioned also in the text. And another also quote what we said, someone who got the financial ability for this to perform Hajj, but he can't physically do it. Muhammad ibn Uthman, a woman came from Khatham to our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. She said, our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon you, the duty of Hajj, my father is a big elder man, and she's informing him that he physically can't do it, that this is also something of the duties that he needed to do, to obey our God to do. But now he can do it financially, but the problem physically he can do it. But physically, he can do it physically, can enable him to get to Mecca. Can I do it in behalf of my father? He said, yes, you can do it. And this is also was taken as an evidence by Hanabila, Shafi'iyya and others, sect that if anyone can do it financially but not physically, he must assign someone to do it in his behalf. And in this also affordability, it will be on two levels. The highest one, the higher, to get like the physical and the financial affordability for this, or capacities for this. And he must do it if he can do the two, if he got the two, if he's healthy and he's capable in his financial resources to perform pilgrimage. And the next case, like he is capable financially, but he's not capable physically, like as a paralyzed man, or someone who's sick, or can't like get the plane to go there, and from his country he can't get there just only by plane. Different reasons or causes for this. In this case, he can send someone to perform pilgrimage. But if he got like he's ill for like a specific time of period, and he will get some medicine to be treated, and or he will be imprisoned for a little while, let's say for a month or 2 months, it will be like one of the reasons which will last for a temporary period of time. So that's why he can perform it after he can be released from prison, or after he can healed from the illness or the sickness. That's why this is something will be based according to a system. So we advise everybody not to rush some people to send someone to perform this duty in his behalf, because maybe you will get the time. I expect maybe he will die or he will pass away. In this case, some people, if anyone dies and he's capable financially, but he didn't perform a Hajj or a duty, but as from his heritage, he can do a recommendation for someone to try. Like I couldn't make it to perform this duty of pilgrimage for different causes. So in this case, he must register this or write down this in his to try to be taken from his heritage to send someone to perform the pilgrimage. So in this case, we showed some many things. And if any one of our listeners would like to ask questions, we feel free to ask. If we talk about the rituals and now, Sheikh, before also the rewards for this, you talked about the rewards of the pilgrimage, the rewards from the pilgrimage, that it's one from the pillars of Islam. And from the rewards, let's say, or the good deeds for this, that is from the great acts that you can get good deeds from Allah. And the first, also the first one, that you will be pure, get a pure self, and also to be also in higher level. But the first benefit from this also to try to get rid of all the bad acts that you did before pilgrimage. He said, our Prophet, if anyone also performed pilgrimage and he came back, that, or anyone who came to this house, and this includes Hajj and Umrah at the same time. And this is also about anyone who arrived to pilgrimage or to Kaaba. This is also very hard, but Umrah is less harder than this. And he didn't also, let's say that he didn't commit any sin while he's performing the pilgrimage. He didn't any something is forbidden, like any sexual relation or anything like this act, whether if he's a male or a female. And he didn't do any sin while he's performing pilgrimage, so he will be back from his pilgrimage as the day he was born. What he can get in this, the minors, it will be approved like he came back as the day he was born, like all the small senses and the major senses. Let's say the scientists agreed also on the, like some of the scientists, like Tabari and Sheikh Hassan bin Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Mundhir from Shafi'iyya, and other from the scientists, that like he came back as the day he was born and doesn't have any sin, like one of the majors or the minors. And some of the scientists also got like some rights and worships. It will be also forgiven by our God Allah if he performed pilgrimage and he accomplished these two. He didn't. But the necessity on the committing sins, sometimes it will be as a block between you and between accomplishing or achieving this favor or this benefit, whether if it's like a small, minor, great, or about the rights of the people. So our dear viewers, we will take this short break and we will get back and continue our program, Rituals, and receive your calls, your questions, your explanations. Welcome back, dear viewers. We are still with you in a live broadcasting from the program Rituals, and we are talking about the rituals of the pilgrimage. And our guest in the ministry, Dr. Khalid Al-Masleh. We welcome you, Doctor. We will talk about a very important point before the break, the necessity on the disobedience, that like if he didn't commit anything, he during pilgrimage, any sin, he will go back as the day he was born. As a best reward for this, our Prophet said, from anyone, if he didn't commit or have any sexual relations or didn't do any sin, he will get back as the day he was born. So if you do like minor or major sins from this, that he didn't do any like sin or committed any sin, so all these rewards for the people who insist in committing a sin, so in this case they will miss this reward as they were from in the past in their bad situation as committing sins. Like the forgiveness, it will be for the minor, for the major sins, and what is followed. Some of the scientists said about what is following this is the rights of the people, or like the right that you took, let's say, a debt from someone or a loan from someone, but you didn't pay back. And this is also shown to me, but also other also things that he regretted, but he couldn't do it, maybe because the people who owns this right didn't know about this. It must be included, but something he must pay back for the people, as right of the people he must pay back. Let's say someone, he took like a size of like a land, or he did something bad against the rights of the people, but he didn't take the reasons of, he didn't pay back for them the money, he didn't ask them, he didn't also seek in paying back, but he insists also in taking and holding the rights of the people and abusing them. So in this case, he is insisting on the sin. So this is also described in our prophet like the one who didn't commit any sexual relation or any sin during pilgrimage. He will be back as the day he was born. So you will be pure from all the sins, and it will be erased by the performing of the pilgrimage. But anything done in the past, but if you didn't ask forgiveness, but he doesn't insist also on this, also he will be included in the forgiveness of Allah. This is from the rewards that we get from the two Sahih that Abu Hurairah said, our Prophet said, accepted reward have no rewards, just only paradise. And this is also shows us the second benefit or reward that was mentioned, that were mentioned by the pilgrimage. We mentioned a while ago that it will be make you pure of the sins, the guilty, and all the things that can be related to it, and also the second reward to get higher level. And the accepted pilgrimage have no rewards but paradise. This is what our God mentioned in the Holy Quran. This is also the accepted Hajj. It's not only, it will be something is added to what was mentioned in our previous conversation, that he didn't have any sexual relation or any committing or didn't commit any sin. You must perform this duty according to the way that our God and Allah ordered us to do. And in this case, you will also meet the condition that our Prophet said, that you will have no reward but paradise as a reward for the accepted pilgrimage. And you must be rewarded by the paradise. This is what Allah going to give it to us. And this is also the pilgrimage that were imposed from our God, were imposed one time in a life. Maybe some people will ask, try to give us like a plan to get like specific points to follow to achieve and accomplish the accepted pilgrimage. How can we accomplish the accepted pilgrimage? The first thing that you can do to do this, to your work, to be loyal just only for the God. And this is also declared in the obligatory of the pilgrimage. Our God also said about the obligation of this pilgrimage must be for our God, that people or mankind owes Allah for this duty, but we need also to try to believe in this meaning. And the second thing from the things that we can accomplish the accepted pilgrimage, to be also according to what our Prophet taught us to do, because he was cautious in teaching his followers, companions. Our Prophet, he said also in the pilgrimage, or the farewell pilgrimage, to try to take all your rituals from me. Maybe I will not meet you after this year. But all of them, all the people who performed the pilgrimage, he wanted also to follow our Prophet, because he was telling them, and they were taking him as the best model for them. They were following him and acting as he's acting in his perform behavior, acts, the words that he's saying even. So it must be according to according and based on the guidance of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But to go deep into the details, the pilgrimage needs to be committed already in obeying Allah in general, and especially and in private, about paying the rights for the people, and also in worshipping Allah in general, and also about the duties and the pillars of and the rights of the pilgrimage. You must be cautious to perform all of it to accomplish and achieve the accepted Hajj. And whenever they say like obeying in private in general, like praying, performing the rights for the parents, for the people, this is in private. and obeying also the rulers or the scientists. This is can be accomplished about the accepted Hajj. So that's why when one of the people came to Muhammad ibn Umar, look how they were organizing the people and regulating the people to be under one flag, to regulate them to go for the pilgrimage. He said to him, when I'm going to throw the pebbles, if you're a scientist or your sheikh or your prince throw the pebbles, which we means the prince of the pilgrimage, and this is were related to him, not to be ahead of him. So that's why he made as an imam. So we are going to follow someone to be an imam or prince of Hajj, let's say. So the imam will not be as a person or shown as an individual or but sometimes we can find it in the recommendations. We can find him or see him as an individual, but this is something about the security, about traveling or going between Safa or Marwa or something related to the healthy situation. All this goes back to the competent bodies who's in charge about this, and this is distributed for all the people who's also in charge and responsible for organizing and regulating the pilgrimage and the performance of the pilgrimage in these days. The second or the third or the fourth meaning, which is described by the accepted pilgrimage, to be away from any sins can be committed, like for sometimes look on the bad or hurt people or abuse people, or some harms can be, or sometimes if I abuse one of the rights, if I rent a tent and an amount of money and I find someone who controlled my tent, and this is also from the harm, can be also can cause your pilgrimage not to be accepted. Whenever we send like some specific meals, if you as a contractor got the contract to provide the pilgrims with meals and you didn't do or meet all the conditions for these meals, also this is from the things like committing the forbiddens, to avoid like shaving the hair, like putting perform hunting or any marriage contract. And the last thing can be described as a accepted pilgrimage is the money that came from the good source. But if it's like it came from bad resources, and this is also bad, whatever good, and to be away from the bad resources of money that you get to spend on the pilgrimage. And this is also means about the expenses in the zakah, and it must be also taken from the halal or resources or the good resources, and to be loyal to our God and to be according to the teaching of our Prophet and obeying our God in general and in private, and to avoid any committing any sin, and to be from a good source or halal money to spend on the pilgrimage. Sometimes it will be misunderstood by the viewers. We are not angels. We are human. Sometimes we commit some mistakes. I did some mistakes in the pilgrimage. What can I do? And before you go to the pilgrimage, you need to have the intent inside your soul and your body and your heart that you are going to be changed. And this is also about what was described or were described in the accepted pilgrimage. After you go back to home from pilgrimage, we need to see some changes. There is also something that you abandoned, the bad acts that you were doing before pilgrimage that you abandoned after you came back. But don't insist on the sin. And if you go back from, or you go back home from pilgrimage, that you came back as you did or commit, but it will be a step that you are going to change your life, change your minds, change your mindset, to be clear from any sins, and to ask God for forgiveness. We are not asking you to be away from all the like to be applicable, but everyone from the mankind is committing mistakes. Like Anas ibn Malik said, peace be upon him, said all the mankinds are committing mistakes, and the best people who commit mistakes, the people who are trying to avoid this later on and ask for forgiveness from our God. And you can, through the hashtag Twitter rituals, you can ask or send your questions directed to the Amnesty Sheikh. Before we talk about the three pillars or the three riots, why our God, is there any wisdom behind enforcing these riots? We know the riots, and this is also the riots, like the specification or the description of Hajj, how people can perform Hajj. This is the meaning of riots, three riots, like the descriptions of the pilgrimage that pilgrim can do on three divisions, three sections, three types. This is the means of riots. Right is the riots, the three riots is the specifications of the pilgrims when they perform to Kaaba. The first one is the pilgrimage that he came to Mecca, just only pilgrimage, that you came with the intent to perform pilgrimage in the 3 months, Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah. If he respond like I respond to the pilgrimage, and what he is going to do, he will respond to go for a circumambulation and do the walk between the mounts of Safa and Marwa, and that's it. This is the first riots, is the ifrad, which is mean the ifrad, to come to just only for the pilgrimage, and there is nothing to do with else than that he didn't add any other acts. The second also type is to add to Hajj Umrah, and this is also can be done into, it will be Tamattu or Iqraa. We will start with the Iqraa because it's very close to Hajj. And the second thing also to come with Hajj and Umrah, to combine together, would have no difference between the two, like everything he's doing for Umrah, the minor Hajj, let's say, and the major Hajj. So it will be Umrah and Hajj at the same time. And this is also, he will come after performing sacralization, and he will do the non-sacralization after till the first day of Eid, until the sacrifice day on the 10th of the Hijjah. This is also Iqraa. But when he entered riots, he said, respond Labbaika Hajjan and Umrah at the same time. So it will be different from Ifrad. So in this case, he added the Umrah. He added as an intent in his heart, and in his performing, it will not be different between the Mufrid and the Qarin, between Ifrad and the Iqraa. The first thing that there will be difference, the one who's doing Iqraa, he will do the intent with the Hajj, and he need also to do the one who enjoyed the Umrah and Hajj in one travel. So this is also the second type, or the second type of the rites. And the third is Tamattu. And Tamattu was mentioned like this because the Hajj will come, the worshippers, he will come in the months of the Hajj, and he will say Labbaika Umrah. He will come to Mecca and do the rounds or the walk between mounts and Safa and Marwa, and to do sacralization. And after this, he will do the cutting. He will go back as he did. Everything is allowed for him as our God allowed for him. The 8th day of the Hijjah, he will do sacralization in this. In this case, he will be mutamatta, will be to combine Umrah in the months of the pilgrimage, and then he will do also after this tahallul from sacralization. Anyone who do this will be mutamatta, and there is no difference that he said first from when he did the sacralization, Labbaika Umrah mutamatta'an to a pilgrimage, and Aisha said these are the three rites in one, because that we went with the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the farewell pilgrimage. This is some of them he intended the Umrah, and the second one he combined Umrah and Hajj. This is the Qarin, and the one who did the Hajj only, or Labbaik pilgrimage or Hajj. So these are the three types: Tamattu, Iqraa, Ifrad. to talk about which is better. We will talk about it after the break, and we will continue our conversation and talk after the break. Be with us. We welcome you back, our viewers, in the last part of our episode for this day. We're talking about the rights and types of Hajj with Dr. Eminence Khalid bin Abdullah al-Muslih, our permanent from the best three rights that we talked about, the three rights, Quran, Ifrad, the scientist, or the majority of the scientists, that everyone performed any of these different rights. He did whatever was enforced and obliged by Allah on him, and this is the performance of the duty of Allah. If you are Ifrad or Tamattu or Iqran. But there is some disagreement about which is the best. Some of them said the Ifrad is the best, and this is also, some of them said Tamattu is the best, and some of them said that the best one, it will be the Quran, and some of them took some evidence, and the best thing to be away from, because we got like different opinions about this, that anyone who did also like the sacrifice in the haram from out of the holy mosque, Quran will be best for him, for anyone, because he got the sacrifice animal from out of the holy mosque and he was Quran. So the Quran will be, I think, if he didn't get the Quran or the sacrifice from away from the holy mosque, it will be the best for him is Tamattu, which is, it will be the most thing that were ordered by our Prophet, and that's what our Prophet wished, that if you received this and you did the sacrifice, it will not be Umrah. So this is the best thing about the preferred rights of this. One of the scientists said that the four scientists, Emma, and the one who came to Umrah traveling, and he came to the pilgrimage in another travel, it will be better than Tamattu, because he did Ifrad by performing every rights. Let's say that he performed Umrah in Shawwal, he took Umrah in Shawwal, and he went back home, and in the months of pilgrimage he came back to pilgrimage. It will be better for him to be Ifrad or Mufrid in this case. So he come in two travels. This is what was quoted by the 4-6 scientists, and this is, God knows more, that he did the walk between the mounts of Safa and Marwa. But the best thing, I think, especially it will be different to the cases of the people. So wherever you perform any of these rights, it will be good, and we are asking for the acceptance of God from accomplishing or achieving as a duty that were enforced on you, and you are performing this duty to our God. It will be all the same. But I think the one who did the pilgrimage Mufradan or Karinan, it will be best for the Ihram, and he will be also rewarded for this. From the reward sides, it will be different sides related to different issues. Before we take any participation from our viewers on the hashtag Manasik or rituals, we were asking about the wisdom behind all these different three rights or types. This is also to do like variety for the people of the rights that they can perform in the pilgrimage, and this is also to facilitate to the people to be according to the interest of the people and accomplish whatever purposes, and facilitate for them. The one who come in the first of the time for the pilgrimage, it will be different from arriving in Dhul Qa'dah or Shawwal. So he will take a long time to be difficult for him to stay for a long time in the sacralization state. But the one who comes like very close in the 6th or the 7th day, so going to Umrah in this crowdness, it will be hard for him So to be mukrin at the same time and to perform sacralizations, it will be easier for him. One of the questions that we get from the Twitter hashtag rituals anyone can do. Anyone can perform pilgrimage in behalf of anyone who passed away a long time ago before performing pilgrimage on himself. No, it's not allowed. Maybe sometimes there is a disagreement, but what is shown to the text that you can't perform pilgrimage to someone else before you do it or perform it to yourself, and this is also mentioned in the different books of Ibn Abbas, like he said, one of the pilgrims came and he said, Labbaika Ibn Umrah. He said, did you perform pilgrimage on yourself first before you do it to your brother who passed away? He said, no. He said, yes. So now you must do it to yourself first, perform it now, and then you can do it on behalf of others. Another question from Khalifa on Twitter, hashtag rituals, to try about the major sins. It will be like to ask for the forgiveness. This is if we said like we will go back to our holy verses from the Quran, the one who performed the pilgrimage without committing any sexual relation or committing any sin, he will go back as the way he was born. We are talking also that our Prophet said, take your rights from me. Our Prophet, our God ordered the people to do the obligation and perform the obligation of the pilgrimage, and it was mentioned in the verses of Al-Baqarah. He said in some specific months you need to perform the pilgrimage, and if you went down from Arafat, supplicate for the God, and then go from the people who left, and after you end all your rights, our God give us like the information in general about the pilgrimage, how we are going to move and do, but about the details it wasn't shown in our Holy Quran, but it was shown and clarified from our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So the Quran showed everything about the origins and the acts and the performance in pilgrimage, the sacralization in al-miqat, what you need to avoid, what is forbidden for you to do while you are in the state of the sacralizations, what you need to do when you get to the arrival of Mecca or when you arrive to Mecca. This was mentioned in general, but in details it was shown by our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And this is not only in the pilgrimage, but in most of the obligations that we got from our God. It was mentioned in the Holy Quran, and then we got the details and the clarification by our Prophet. There is a call from our colleague from Sudan, Abdul Mahmoud. Peace be upon you. Hello. Peace be upon you. You are welcome. God bless you. Your question. Abdul Mahmoud, your question. Mikat, it seems that there is some disturbance in the sound. Mr. Abdul Mahmoud, if you can repeat the question, if you please. Say the question again. Say the question again. There was some disturbance in the sound. Regarding the, like getting the sacrifice from some disturbance, and they are doing with the Rajhi company to try to provide them with the sacrifice animal in Mina. Does this also mean that we are getting the sacrifice from out of the Miqat for the Mukrin and for the Mutamatta and the two types of Hajj too? If we can answer in regard about getting the sacrifice animals, to get it from outside the Holy Mosque to the Holy Mosque, and in this time it will be sometimes rarely or unique to do it, to get the animal that you need to sacrifice. Let's say if you bought a goat from outside the Holy Mosque and you get to the Holy Mosque and you went into the state of sacralizations regarding the questions in giving like some money for the companies who are doing this sacrifice of animals in behalf of the pilgrims? Does this mean that you are getting the sacrifice animal from out of the Holy Mosque? The answer, no, because you are trying to give them the money in behalf of you to sacrifice the animal in Mecca, but you don't know if they are going to get it from outside Mecca or no. These companies actually preparing huge quantities of animals or animals to the mosque to be slaughtered and to gifted to Allah in the days of the sacrifice days and the Tashriq days. So it's not from getting animals or animals to sacrifice from outside the Holy Mosque. If we are going to say like our Prophet when he came, Ali, God be pleased with him, when he came with some goats from Yemen. So our Prophet, he got one from Medina, one goat from Medina, and Ali got some sheep or animals from Yemen. And they combined it together. What is meant over here to give someone or to assign someone to get an animal to be sacrificed from Bahra, Jeddah, Jumum, from all different places or areas outside the Holy Mosque and enter the Holy Mosque while you are getting, but giving some companies that are supervising these sacrifice to the pilgrims. It's not like getting from outside the mosque. And the mutamattih, he can't get a goat or an animal to sacrifice from outside the Holy Mosque. Award our Sheikh to the competent bodies that are in charge about these sacrificed animals. Some pilgrims said, I don't trust sometimes, or I have some suspicions towards the companies that are in charge or responsible for slaughtering the animals or the sacrifice. From the companies which is known and were also accredited as one of the companies by the government, they got different supervisory bodies from the religious affairs, from healthy also, or the Ministry of Health and the Security, and all the different competent bodies that are supervising, accomplishing the purpose the purpose behind the work of all these companies. So the trust or non-trust of these companies, this is like partial, and this is also something will be. There is sometimes a disagreement between the people because these companies have supervision on them, have specific regulations, and they are supervised and monitored and controlled by the government and by the competent bodies. And there is nothing to be suspicious. If you need to do the sacrifice by yourself, it's open for you. There is some slaughtery houses in Mecca. Maybe it's not that big numbers of slaughtery houses, but if anyone would like to do it, he can do it by himself to do this purpose, to do the sacrifice himself. Now we get to the end of this episode. I don't know if you have a final word to conclude this episode. What I recommend myself and my brothers and colleagues to be cautious in learning the rites and the rituals of the pilgrimage, or any duty that you need to do, or any worshipping for Allah. You need to learn it in a good way and clearly, because you need it, this worshipping to be accepted, to be loyal, and to be according to the guidance of our Prophet. So learning is very important, brothers, females, males, our sisters, brothers. But we need to look more about and knowing more about the rites of pilgrimage. Many of the people come to the pilgrimage a while before the pilgrimage season, but you need to hear like a record or a tape or read a book in the social media, follow a program in the program TVs to know in general what is the right way to perform this duty. And maybe some people who will be escorting you or the guidance. Thank you very much, and God give you the good deeds. We thank you very much for these nice words, and hopefully we will meet you tomorrow in the next episode. Thank you, Dr. Khalid Al-Maslih. that he were our guest in this program, and he will be the permanent guest for this, dear viewers. Hopefully, through this episode that we showed to you about what God also showed to us about the outlines that we can take, brothers, sisters, Muslims, to perform this pilgrimage, right? So on the guidance of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We will meet you tomorrow, inshallah, by tomorrow, from the program Rituals. Until tomorrow, we will leave you with a God blessing.